Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch. This is Crime Talk, the most fact-based, unbiased, true crime channel on the entire internet. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It is our Tuesday night live. Thank you very much for being here. Now, last week, this time, we had a couple of little issues with the sound. It turned out to be the internet. Hopefully, we're not having any of those issues today. We think we fixed all our internet problems because, there's always something out there lurking that can jump up and get you. Anyway, once again, thanks for tuning in. For those who have not been to our Tuesday night live or are not familiar with Crime Talk, just rather briefly, my name is Scott Reisch. I'm a practicing criminal defense attorney. We have our Crime Talk channel, and we talk on a daily basis about cases that are out there in the news and explaining them with a little more detail than what you're going to find on the evening news, particularly as it relates to the actual law and the criminal procedure that is going to be there. I've been doing this about 2 years now, a little over 2 years, I guess. And looking at the chats go by, Sylvia, thank you. Yes, we just hit 150,000 subscribers. Actually, I think we just went over 151, but that big one was the 150 was kind of a big number for sure. And obviously we could not have done that without all of you, no doubt. So today we have, obviously it's our Tuesday night live. Normally this has been kind of a slow week, although literally, I'm not sure what it is, but the last 2 days have been extremely busy, and it literally feels like it is a Friday. Somebody's saying our picture is blurry, but our sound is great, and on my screen as well. So definitely fuzzy.
Yeah, that's the internet issue. We're focusing everything. I'm sorry. That's the speed. I got you here. I have you well here.
Okay. Frank's telling me that it's the internet issue, but it's blurry. It is blurry here. Maybe we can switch to a different one, that 2.4 or something. I don't know, but it looks busy, right? I mean, it looks fuzzy even to me, I guess, when I look at it in the screen right in front of me. Not sure why that would be. Anyway, lots of cases going on out there. Obviously in the United States these days. I don't know about what part of the world that a lot of people are in, but here we're getting more restrictions related to COVID because things are spiking back up again. But it seems to be that the general sentiment of the people, at least here where I've come in contact with it, are ready to move on and get back to work. I think they're done. People are ready to just do it. But man, it's been a busy week. Anyway, it's only Tuesday, but for some reason it's super busy. Anyway, so obviously the cases we're following, we still have the Vallow matter. We had Lori. It was very odd. I think the wheels are coming off for sure when it comes to Lori Vallow's attorney, Mark Means. He just seems like, seems like he's losing it. We also have on the 29th of October, we still have a hearing. It's going to be via WebEx or video, whatever they call it, Zoom call there in Idaho on the Chad DeBell matter. So we'll have to take a look at that as well this week, and we'll try to bring that to you live. It shouldn't be a problem getting that up, assuming something actually goes, because other motions hearings have been continued. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but Idaho seems to be real slow lately on putting out information related to the Lori Vallow, Chad DeBell matters. It makes no sense to me. Says now it looks like fixed it, but not anymore on my end. It still looks very odd to me. We still have the Letitia Stout matter going on, and they're still fighting over competency issues. The prosecution in the case just filed their brief regarding the use of video and audio recordings during a competency evaluation. That's what it's come down to. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty here of, should it be recorded? It says, competency is required. Obviously competency is always required, but the evaluation for the examination, that it should be videotaped if it's class 1 or 2 felony charge. Obviously, she has class 1 felony charges here because the charges are murder after deliberation. So, the prosecution says record it. Why not? We want a copy of it. We want to be able to see it, use it. And you waive, when there's competency evaluation, you're waiving privilege for the defendant at that time. So anything he says can be used against him down the road. So against her in this particular case. But so, yeah, it's a real problem for the defense. It's, tricky issue when you do competency issues. We just took over a case. That's probably why made me so tired. Is a new case, lots of issues regarding mental health situations, and our I don't understand why we have this issue.
Let me try some.
All right. Frank, the hardest working man in show business, is going to try to fix it again. We even did a little test run and worked fine until we are now. So we'll just have to wait and see.
What about now?
I got nothing.
Yeah,
So
you're live.
I know, but I don't see it on the screen.
I didn't see it.
Mine just kicked me off. Let's try again. Now I think we're coming back. It lasts that way for a second, but I'm not sure what. So frustrating, people. In the land, this is 2020. You think we'd be able to have good, solid internet. We certainly, seems like we pay enough for it to have that high-speed extra internet service through our provider Comcast, but apparently not. All right. So thanks for everyone tuning in. Looks like, giving some time for people to show up again. Now, the case that I thought, I didn't know whether to kind of grimace today or laugh at the individuals that were, what were they? What's the word I'm trying to look for? Castration by non-doctors. That case is the one that really kind of jumped out at me today. Was that these 2 Oklahoma men that were charged? We talked about this in our show earlier today on the video that we put out. And, the victim wants to go through a castration for sex change purposes, and just happens to find a guy that, does these things, says he has 15 years of experience, and come on down to my little workbench that he has in a little shack, and they will be able to, take care of everything that he, the gentleman requests. The guy traveled from the state of Virginia for that. So yeah, apparently the surgery was performed by Bob Allen and Thomas Gates. And the victim also stated that both Allen and Gates tried to get him to participate in cannibalism. And the hospital confirmed that Astor's testicles were in fact removed. That's the victim in this particular case. A Kai Astor. That he, underwent the surgery. The investigators stated that it looks like Mr. Astor explained that he was first contacted by Bob Allen 3 weeks prior on a website, and that Astor said that he came across the website while searching about castrations, and then that he and Allen chatted for a few days, and then they talked over Skype, and that, basically the procedure was free. Everybody loves free, do they not? And so Astor took a flight from Virginia to Dallas, Fort Worth, and then drove to Worcester, Oklahoma. And the following day, Astor and Allen, kind of what they described to the police as a makeshift table covered in operation gowns. And that's where the surgery took place. Apparently, it was quite a little shack. And the surgery lasted just a simple 2 hours, easy procedure. And apparently after the procedure was done, Allen said that he was going to consume the parts, laughing, saying that he was into cannibalism. Astor stated that Mr. Allen had explained that he had at least 6 more clients ready for the same operation, which is just weird. Said that Astor stated that there was a medicine cabinet containing all the types of medicine such as hydroxycontin, Percocet, mushrooms, and other hard drugs. No one was home, but when the investigators did search the home, they found obviously, laptop, medical bill, a pill bottle, a Roto-Rooter bill, go figure, a medicine cabinet containing a very sundry of medicine items, mushrooms. A deep freeze bag was found in a bedroom that contained what appeared to be testicles. 2 flash drives, a blue medical sheet, and needle and string, and some adult diapers. Syringes contained a clear liquid substance. Now, I don't know what to tell you. Surgery by amateurs. I mean, I guess maybe it's COVID. Desperate times call for desperate actions. What could possibly go wrong? I just simply don't know. But that case, when I read it, I think I read it the first time last week, but more details have come out. Literally made me cringe. I mean, I didn't know who was. I mean, obviously the person in this particular case, this Virginia man, Mr. Astor, or woman, I guess, he wanted to have this surgery, and he was wanted it so much that he was willing to have amateurs do it. And you see pictures of these 2 guys. They look, I don't even know how to describe them. They look, I think I'd want to see a medical degree hanging on there before I would trust them to do anything, let alone remove body parts. And obviously, Mr. Astor had to be rushed to the hospital because of excessive bleeding. So apparently their suturing skills left a little to be desired. I simply do not know. It's just beyond me. So yeah, we have the Oklahoma castration case. I mean, the only thing that would be maybe a little more bizarre is if Mr. Astor maybe perhaps tried to do it himself. But the fact that he got 2 guys in Oklahoma that lived in a little shed and they put them on a makeshift table thinking, don't worry, we've got this. I mean, maybe what they've seen it a couple times on animals, how difficult could it be? Right. I just, I don't know. It's one of those things where I just cannot explain what it is. And so, it's not one of the attorneys in my office. It's just, we were talking about it today, about mental health issues. We have a client that's very frustrating where, she was trying to do the right thing, but she was unable to get her meds, which basically had a relapse, didn't have her meds, and, did some things that obviously she regrets, but no one was ever harmed about it. But yet the prosecutors in the case want a felony charge because they say this individual should have done it more. And I think it's so frustrating to me. And if anyone's ever worked in the criminal justice system, I think they would agree with me that the majority of the individuals involved in there are simply, there's always mental health issues. If somebody wants to, I wouldn't say reform. It is, and it was taught to me a long, long time ago. You have rape, murder, and violent crimes, and everything else. And the first three, the rape, murder, violent crimes, those are the ones where people are going to go to trial, cases are going to be cited, and more than likely, people are going to prison. And then you have other cases, whether it's drug cases, cases that aren't necessarily affecting people or society so bad, but they feel like they want to punish these individuals and send them to prison or, put the restrictions on them, but yet they don't want to help them get the help that they need. I remember I had a case, I was sitting in court, it wasn't my case, where a gentleman was brought in and he was put on parole, which means he was being released from prison, and he was put on a period of supervision. And when he left prison, they gave him, a month's worth of supply for his medication to control his schizophrenia. Well, needless to say, 30 days go by. He tried to get more medicine through his parole officer. There were no funds there. So he didn't have the resources to buy the medicine, which was actually somewhat expensive, is my understanding. Needless to say, he's off his medicine, gets in trouble. Guess what? He gets a new case. But the new case that he pled guilty to is going to revoke his parole. So he's got to go back to prison. Then they got to sentence him on the new case. And I don't know where it is in most jurisdictions, but what I've seen in both state and federal court is it costs anywhere between $28,000 and $32,000 per year to incarcerate an inmate. And that's assuming they're not a management risk or have other issues along the way. That's just the salaries of, correctional officers, upkeep, maintenance, all the stuff that goes with it to house somebody in a prison. 28 to 32, that's probably low end. And everybody's sitting in the courtroom thinking, are you serious? This guy's medication is certainly not $28,000 a year, but nobody could come up with the money to do it, where the person would be a productive member of society. Now, don't get me wrong. Mental health issues are not a complete pass in criminal cases, but one of the things that you try to do in the criminal justice system, and what we try to do as a defense attorney, is try to figure out the underlying problem. What can we do to potentially solve it? And then try to make sure it doesn't happen again. So if you can figure out a way for somebody to get the medication versus wasting that money on probation supervision fees, parole supervision, where they got to send you to a class or something along those lines, it just makes no sense to me. And, most, not all, but many people in the criminal justice system have mental health issues. And whether they're self-medicating through drugs or alcohol, there's underlying drug and alcohol issues, mental health issues where they're self-medicating. And it's just frustrating. I think maybe it's found what seemed like such a long day is because when you're trying to help clients, and the district attorneys, usually young district attorneys, think that they're doing the right thing. Not that I have all the answers, but it's just frustrating when they were dismissive, and maybe don't know a whole lot, but at least you've seen it, and you've seen it play out a few more times than they have. All right. People are still saying it's blurry. Terry Dalton, can the judge remove Lori Vallow's attorney from the case for incompetency? Pretty unlikely. I'm sure as judges, I know I've seen attorneys that I thought were completely incompetent. There's been attorneys that I've seen in court, and I thought, I cannot believe that somebody hired that particular individual to represent them in court. but you have a right to an attorney of your choice. And unless, the attorney basically shows up to court completely intoxicated and can't function, that attorney can stay on the case as long as the client wants him there. I just don't know. Yeah, Deborah. Yeah, some of the medicines cost more than that than if there's insurance. No, I get it, or Medicare, Medicaid. I get it, but it just seems from a public policy standpoint, if the medicines can make the person feel better and they won't go out and commit crime, that it's less expensive to give them the medication that they have to pay than the $28,000 to $32,000 a month to warehouse somebody. So, let's see. My shrink told me that there is no such thing as lazy. It's a mental sickness. Halfway Blonde. The Donnie Jackson case out of Leavenworth. I just saw something about that, but the day got away from me, so I wasn't able to follow up on that. But I think it's a case regarding family being, killed by husband or something. I think 2 kids. I'll take a look at that and see. Maybe we can talk about that on the Patreon tonight. Don, I have one that is $9,000 a month for lupus, and my insurance has stopped paying. Wow. Sorry for that, Angelina ATF. That's crazy. $9,000 a month. And unless you're independently wealthy or got a great job, where are you going to find that kind of money? That's tough. Most people aren't going to make that in a month, let alone a couple of months. So yeah. Great, Terry, joining Patreon. Thank you. I want to thank everyone who's joined Patreon. Obviously, there are different levels that people can join our Patreon group. The link is below, and you can do that. And if you do, in fact, join tonight, you will receive a link prior to us going on our Patreon show, and we'll talk about anything that you desire. And we'll also give you the secret phone number where you can actually call in and we can have conversation. Some people, last week, I think we had no calls, which is very surprising. And then other times we get lots of calls, and it's really great. So yeah, Kathy Griffith, I'm not sure what the problem is. This is now the second week in a row. And our IT guy is in the office, and I think he said he's fixed it all. But I don't know. I mean, it's just frustrating as all get up. That it used to work just fine for weeks and weeks, and now we're having issues today. Right. Let's see a couple of these questions here. I don't get paid until Thursday. I live direct deposit to direct deposit. Mama Pink Eye, I understand. A lot of people think, oh, you're a lawyer. This has been an interesting time in which we all have lived, for sure. I mean, COVID, things coming back up again. It's crazy whether things would be shutting down. It's going to be a very difficult time financially for a lot of people. We've seen that, even in the law business, times get tough and people, that's like, well, let me see if I can drag it out, do it myself. All right. It's one of the, and I tell people all the time, whether you hire me or another attorney, never, ever do it yourself. I mean, maybe a traffic ticket, go in, plead it down, something along those lines, but never go to a courtroom by yourself. I'm telling you, it's not good. Even if I've had to, deal with issues and it's going to involve actual litigation. Obviously, if you're an attorney, you can't be an attorney on the case, but you hire an attorney, listen to them. That's the part that's so frustrating some days about it. And maybe that's another reason why this week feels so long. Clients some days, and I'm not complaining. I truly appreciate my clients, but it's so frustrating where people come and they pay you significant sums of money, and they're paying you for your experience, your time. And then they do the completely opposite thing that you advise them to do. And then when things turn out poorly, they are shocked that things turned out poorly. And I was having a little conversation with with a sheriff's deputy down at the detention center today. Had to go talk to a client on a homicide case. And, sitting there talking to the deputy, and one of the things we had to do is dropping off some discovery to another client. And the deputy was like, all right, I need your name. Who's that guy there? What's his name? What are you dropping off? And he wanted to know how many pages we had so that he can make a note in documentation, because he's like, these inmates will turn on you in a heartbeat. They'll say I didn't give them to him, even though I was, gave them everything they wanted. Like, hey, sir, I get it. And that's one of the most frustrating things about this job. And maybe it's because when you're young, you don't really know as an attorney. You're just, rocking and rolling and doing good and whatever. And then as you get older and you do more and more serious cases, you spend more of your time documenting what you did, for lack of a better term. I remember when people used to always complain about doctors? They spend all their time papering their files, doing tests, doing things that aren't necessary because they're worried about getting sued. And unfortunately, that's where it has gone in the legal practice these days. Not that it's getting sued, but just clients, you literally have to document everything. And, most of the clients are good, but there's always, what they refer to as the 10% rule. You spend 90% of your time on 10% of the clients. There's that 10% that just exhausts you, wears you out. Lynette, sounds just like kids. Do the opposite of what you say, and then somehow it's your fault when things go wrong. Absolutely. It is just exhausting. You spend all the time counseling people, explaining all the situations. Yes, certain things they have the ultimate decision on. They ask for your recommendation. You recommend plan A. They go with plan B. And B doesn't work out, and they blame you. And I guess that's just the thing. And not that I'm looking for a thank you every now and then, but it would just be nice with a, thank you for give me the right advice. And I we've talked about this before. Like I told my children, I don't think they realized it. Your children think that somehow you're trying to lead them astray. It's not till I think maybe high school, they start to figure it out. Maybe college, they get it. But when they hit the real world ground running, they finally realize that everything you told them to do in life, that it was truly for their best interest, but somehow they knew better. And it's not because parents know everything, but it's usually because you've made those mistakes and you're trying to help them avoid that situation. And it's just it's a situation. I've tried to explain this to my clients. Why would I intentionally give anyone bad advice? I wouldn't do it. And the reason why is I take my responsibility to my clients just like I would raising my kids. I want them to turn out to be good, productive members of society and, do well. Same thing with my clients. I'm not going to give you bad advice. Why would I intentionally give you bad advice? So if I'm telling you to do plan A and you go do plan B, then you really got to why are you paying? But guess what? I'm going to put it. I actually got to tell a client today, I'll do what you want. But if you're doing this where you could go to prison for the rest of your life or do a little time and get out, if you want to go do the plan B, I will not only put it in a letter that you're proceeding against my advice, I will have you sign it. That's just the way it is. So I don't know. It's maybe that's why it's only Tuesday and it feels like Friday afternoon, and you still got to come in on Saturday. let's see here. Let's go back to some more questions here.
Can I do a test? You're going to be out of the camera for
Sure.
1 second.
Sure.
Can you let them know?
Frank's going to do a test here real quick to see what's going on and maybe out of the picture here for just 1 second. But let me see here. Let's see.
I'm doing that right now, okay?
Okay. Let's see here. Let me go down and find a question here as well. Right about that. Indeed. I swear. Tacos. Yes. Amberlynn, this has been a long week. So anyway, so that's just kind of, we can talk about really whatever anyone would like to talk about, whatever case anyone would like to talk about. It's just been, like I said, like it seems like one of those days, so to speak. But what can you do? What can you do? Okay. Mama Pink, I had a public defender give me very bad advice a long time ago. Yeah, that happens. I don't know, what to tell you. I mean, I don't know if they told you to plead guilty, go to trial, whatever, but ultimately the decision's usually the defendant's whether to plead guilty. And normally if somebody will, tell people if they should take the deal, that they truly believe that is what's in their best interest, but ultimately it's the defendant's responsibility. Remember, we've talked about that numerous times. There's 3 ultimate decisions that a defendant in any criminal case is going to be responsible for. 1, if you can afford private counsel, who's your attorney going to be? If you're in custody or you need to qualify for a public defender, that's your choice. You're going to get the public defender if you qualify. So the defendant makes 3 choices: the private counsel, whether they're going to accept a guilty plea or not. And if the matter proceeds to trial, the third option is, or the third decision a client has to make is always whether they testify or not. Other than that, obviously the client will be consulted, but decisions on legal strategy, witnesses to be called, questions, things like that, that's in the province of the defense attorney. Now, most defense attorneys are going to consult with their client to make sure they're all on the same page and explain things as you go along, because why? You want a happy client. That's what it gets. So yeah, it's just, that would be horrifying as an attorney. Yeah. People, everybody's a lawyer. I Googled something. I'm a lawyer. I give you bad, I know it. But it's a lot different when you actually have to go and do it, and people are actually relying upon your advice. And, I remember as a young attorney, it's like, oh my gosh, these people are making a decision based upon what I say. Like, oh my gosh. And after 25 years, you're a little more comfortable giving that advice because you've been there, you've seen it. So yeah, it is, and you always wonder, if you lose a case, wow, is there something I could have done differently? Maybe I should have asked a question better. There's always so much, and there's so much second guessing. It seems like there's more and more second guessing of everybody these days. John, I went further in debt to get the $500 to retain the best criminal defense attorney against false accusations. Yeah. Well, I don't know when that was, but $500 is not that big of a retainer. Most jurisdictions that would not get anybody to go to court, at least not where we are here in the Denver metro area. Bottom line, that's it. Yeah. It's, you get what you pay for. I'm a firm believer in that. I really am. Yeah. And I'm not sure why we're blurry. I don't know if it's a camera, the internet. Yeah. It's just so frustrating. We pay all this money for internet. I got an IT guy that comes in here, tells me everything's perfect. And then we turn it on and suddenly it doesn't work. It's just frustrating as all get up. I don't know. Yeah, Scott, your connection is dreadful and the picture is very blurred. I apologize. I absolutely apologize. I'm not sure what's going on, but Frank is telling me that it is the internet.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try these all the tests.
Well,
Shoot.
I can't. I mean, I don't want to put out a horrible product if it's going to be
Yeah.
like that. So, I mean, I think, Scott, what case had a verdict that was the most surprising to you? Deborah, are you talking about one of my own cases or one that is in the news? Is there ever a case you wouldn't take? Yeah. And the question comes from, I'm assuming it's Amesy89. Is there ever a case you would not take? No. I truly believe that everyone is entitled to representation under the United States Constitution. And so no. Unless I had an ethical conflict, like I represented a previous witness, but as long as I would ethically, there were no ethical hurdles to get over. Yeah, I would take just about any case. I can't think of anyone that I would not. And there's some cases out there you don't like. We've done them all. We've had lots of. Seems like there for a while we were like the shaken baby attorney for a long time. Did lots of those cases. Lots of murders, done lots of, cases regarding children, which are never fun. And you just don't need to do those type of cases. Annie, yes, we've taken cases involving lots and lots of sexual offenses. That's what, unfortunately, that is a, type of situation where, once again, everyone's entitled to those to a criminal defense, and we've had cases where people have been found not guilty. We've had cases where people have admitted that the complaining witness has lied. So you like to think, and things usually work out the way they were. Question was here: would you take the Watts case? I mean, I haven't been shy about it, but I was contacted, regarding the Watt case, but no one had any financial resources to do that case correctly. People just do not realize how expensive it is to properly defend somebody in a serious felony. And I'm not talking, a little traffic court case. You can go do those cases in a day. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking a good old fashioned murder where there's witnesses, investigation that needs to be done. Witnesses have scattered all over the country, that kind of thing. Think about it. You start paying 2-3 attorneys, $300 to $500 an hour. I mean, just say $300 an hour at 8 hours a day. That's $2,400 a day. And, if they're working on that full time, who has those kinds of resources? It gets very, very difficult to do that. You find up and you look at cases where you get a retainer sometimes, and you look at the final hours and you think, wow, we made about $16 an hour on that case. But it was the right thing to do because we had to, get it done. We had to do it for the client. It's just the way it is. Why do you think the defense position better than the prosecution? And it's Ames. Oh, sorry. Ames. Sorry. Why do you like the defense position better than the prosecution? I don't particularly have anything against the prosecution. I was a prosecutor for a brief time while I was in the military. But my general feeling is that if you work for the government, This goes back to the whole Constitution thing. Remember, the Constitution is a limitation of powers as it relates to the government. And if you work for the government, you're a prosecutor. If you're a prosecutor, you are in the government. And I have never met a single prosecutor who ever got up and said, you know what? That search was unreasonable that they conducted on somebody's car, home, person. They always try to justify it, no matter how bad and outrageous that it possibly was. I've never seen anybody from the government get up and say, how can we limit the power of the government today? And I'm talking about the bureaucrats that are there right now. Okay, prosecutors, government, everybody in government wants power, right? And they're trying to hold on to the power that they have. And the only way that they can justify their existence is to keep track of little ticky-tacky marks of, how many cases would we prosecute? How many resulted in guilty pleas? How many went to trial? How many convictions but they got? Why? Because that justifies the money that they get when they go for budgeting. Because I always want to go to the people with the money and say, we're so busy. We need more prosecutors. We need more resources. So on the defense side, and people, know this, I get up on a daily basis defending the United States Constitution down in the trenches every day for my clients. And whether they are guilty of sin or wrongfully accused, they deserve to have their rights protected. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. If we let the government railroad guilty people, those people in power will think that they can do it to innocent people as well. And so every time somebody says, oh, that guy's a scumbag, he got off on a technicality. No, it's not a technicality. It's called the Constitution. Okay. And frankly, the only thing that stands between people pushing and taking away anyone's constitutional rights are the criminal defense attorneys out there. Those cases that go up to the United States Supreme Court, that was one little guy sitting in a courtroom, standing up and saying, I object, Your Honor. That's wrong. You shouldn't let the government do what they're asking to do. And the judge, of course, usually lets them do what they do, and then it gets reversed on appeal. But it's, months and months after your client has actually been convicted, sent to prison, lost everything. And don't get me wrong. I'm not somebody that's completely drank the Kool-Aid. I get it. There are evil people out there. There are people that deserve to go to prison for the rest of your life. I am not one of those defense attorneys that thinks that no one should ever go to prison. No. Violent crimes, absolutely. If you get convicted, and I've had clients over here who's like, yep, they deserve it. I hope they never get out because they're scary people. But my job was there to be a defense attorney. And even though I'm standing there representing a particular client, I'm actually representing everybody that's out there. And whether you never have a case, or maybe your kid picks up a case, or a family member, because somebody's down there representing and objecting, saying, Judge, they can't do that. What they did was illegal. I think that is a high calling. It results in lots of long days and frustration sometime. You have to deal with clients that are frustrated. The biggest thing is when clients get really, excuse me, I have an itchy nose. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Itchy. When they start, getting angry, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You have to remember, for the most part, they're scared. They're scared, and who wouldn't be? You're looking to have your livelihood. You're looking at having, your liberty taken away. People get scared, and when they get scared, sometimes they make real poor decisions. I hope next week the audio and video will be good. Gee, I sure hope so too. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm a very bitter person now. I understand. Paid attorneys have more money to research than the public defender. Well, I don't know if they have more money, but they have more time. If you have the resources, I'm telling you, we can give you one hell of a defense. Much more difficult when you have limited resources. Public defenders' offices have limited resources. They only have a limited number of attorneys. Their budget is set. They have budgets set for investigators. They have budget sets for expert witnesses. And if your case isn't that important, guess what? It's not going to get priority for investigation, experts, things of that nature. So yes, it is much better if you can have a private attorney, which oftentimes you need to have. You need to have the financial means and resources to do that. And I know lots of people do not, but you should always try to get the best representation that you can possibly afford. Let's see. Angie would love to hear your thoughts on the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey case. That's the one out of Wisconsin where they made the Netflix series Making of a Murder. I mean, I think their post-conviction attorneys did a really good job. But at the end of the day, Supreme Court up there, as I recall, said, yep, no new trial. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, Terry. Yeah, if you have money, I'm not saying, it's expensive. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say it's not. Scott, were you ever a public defender? If so, how long? I was not a public defender in the sense in the private, in the world, but when I was in the Marine Corps, I was also a defense attorney and had lots of fun as a defense attorney in the Marine Corps. It's kind of like being a public defender. You get all these clients coming to you for free, and you have to go beg and say, can I get an investigator? Can I get an expert witness on this particular case? And they always said no. But it really taught you how to fight for your clients on limited budgets. And it really made you get creative on what you could do as far as research. And, there we didn't have investigators, but I had, a young Lance Corporal who was absolutely amazing. And, this is 6 years ago. And he was great and he could do anything. He didn't go off to be an attorney. But last I saw him, he was working for the State Department, just a real smart kid. And he was just doing a great job. So, we improvised, we adapt, we overcame everything that we could do to make sure we could represent our clients. And, and we won lots of cases, in the military. And that was a lot of fun. No family law. No family. They did have a, what they call it, legal assistance office downstairs, but I never really did that. I was up in the defense side, which was frankly a lot more fun because you weren't in the chain of command, because the defense was completely separate. So everyone else would have to go off and do PT or go to some mandatory function. You're like, yeah, you can't make me do that. I'm defense counsel. It was good. It was a good time. Scott, what do people do if they are not guilty but have no money? Katie, too. Good question. There's a lot of people that fall into that category. We have potential clients call all the time where they don't qualify for the public defender, because the qualifications for a public defender, usually you're in custody, or literally you make no money. You are at the poverty level, or below. And you work, but it's not like, you have a whole lot of extra money that you can stash away for your legal defense fund that you probably didn't think was ever going to be needed, right? So what do? You make too much money to qualify for the public defender, but you don't make enough money to actually get an attorney. Some states, some courts have put together what they refer to as a low pay, slow pay list, where there's attorneys that are willing to take cases maybe on a little lower, rate. Maybe you can make payments over time. For people that have a legitimate case. I've always said, and believe this in my heart to be true, even if you have no money and you can't afford an attorney or even a good attorney, even usually a bad attorney or mediocre attorney is better than no attorney at all. But if you didn't do it and you think you're not guilty and you believe in your heart of hearts, I didn't do it, or I was justified under the law, then don't plead guilty. Bottom line. People don't get it. When you plead guilty, you admit as a matter of law and as a matter of fact that you did it. Even if you did it for plea negotiation purposes, you're considered guilty from here on out, forever and forever and forever. You can say, oh, I didn't do it. I just took a plea to get out of jail. I took a plea because it was such a good deal. Guess what? At the end of the day, you're guilty. That's what will always show up on your criminal history. So if you did it, try to get the best deal you can. If they can't prove it, that's fine. But if you didn't do it, don't plead guilty to something you didn't do. Bottom line. Helena, is it better to represent yourself than to have a so-called bad attorney? Well, at least a bad attorney will maybe muddle it through, but you got to be, careful. And I know this sounds kind of cliche, but if you hire that guy that, you see him and he only has one sport coat and one pair of Dockers and it's all frayed at the bottom and he wears tennis shoes to court, you're probably going to jail. All right. I mean, I hate to say it, but and maybe it was my, being brought up in the Marine Corps. You show up, you try to look presentable. But I see some attorneys that look like they rolled out of bed. Like today, I had no court today, but I knew I was going to go see clients. I still put on a jacket. I put on a jacket every day because you never know who you're going to meet. You always try to make a good impression. And you just don't want to. I mean, people, and I hate to say it, but it's a reality. People will judge you by your attire. I remember when I was a young attorney, I lost, when I first started out of the Marine Corps, I had this Volvo that was, given to me by my father-in-law, or I paid him some money. And the client actually said, I'm going to hire somebody else. Like, can I ask why? Was it, what was it? He goes, yeah, the other guy drove a better car. And he has a nice car, so therefore he must be a good attorney. I'm like, oh, didn't realize that. Okay. But that's the way people oftentimes think. I don't know. I thought my Volvo looked pretty good at the time, but, now I think I drive a decent car. And maybe people hire me because of that. I don't know. Maybe it's because of my big conference room as well. Maybe that was it. Who knows? Let's see. A poor person might have to use the law library. John, can't disagree. But I assure you, you're not going to learn the law overnight in the law library. It's just, there's just too much. I mean, really, it is. And I'm not talking about go to court. I mean, usually, if you think about it, the law is usually pretty common sense. If you think about it, like, there's certain things you just shouldn't do. Even if it's, contract law. Did you pay him? Did you not? Was there a contract formed? Pretty common sense type of stuff, but there's little nuances in the law because that's what lawyers do, is they make little nuances in the law, exceptions to the rules, so that they can make themselves feel smarter. Now, that happened long before I got here, I assure you, but that's just the way it is. Let's see. My driving instructor told me to avoid two kinds of drivers: old men in hats and Volvo drivers. My experience is, if you ever are passing slow traffic, particularly here in Colorado, it's always a Subaru driver up front, hands at 9 and 3 o'clock, driving 1 mile an hour below the speed limit. And I haven't driven a Volvo in 20, at least 18 years. 18 years. Now I'm more of a BMW guy. So yeah, only the rich can afford to look poor. Might help you thinking like that. I know. I've seen that before, where rich people want to look, or particularly college kids, that are living off of what's the word? Trust fund. And yet they want to look like they're homeless. I just don't get that. Sweet as sugar. My lawyer was my cousin Vinny. Scott, if you ever fly east to Kansas City, lunch is on me. Well, Grape Ape, coincidentally, Crime Talk 1 is nearing completion. And who knows, if the whole world's shutting down again, maybe, the lovely Miss Kristen and I can jump on Crime Talk 1 and get out and about, because at the first part of the COVID crisis, I had to fly, pick up experts, test evidence, fly back, boom. And then my engine freezes up over near Cheyenne on my way to South Dakota, of all places. But at least I had enough sense to turn around. And anyway, so here's been several months now, since May, that I haven't had a plane. Been in this process of figuring out what happened. What do I do for options to get a new engine in the plane, to having them build the engine, having them ship the engine, and then having them put them in. Hopefully by the end of the week, we will be airborne. We will be doing test pilot. Maybe I'll take a camera and we can go do the test pilot flight in Crime Talk 1. Let's see here. It says on both defense. Let's see here. You find contract offers when you need to background check. You just file everything you need. Yep. True helper. When you do a background check, that's right. CrimeTalkSearch.com. I'm telling you. And I know some people are like, oh, I'm skeptical. Oh, I'm this and that. I am telling you, to be able to have a background subscription service, and I'm not, you can go there, CrimeTalkSearch.com. I'm telling you, we use it literally every day here in my law firm. We get stuff on witnesses. What's the best way to find out stuff about people these days? Look at their social media, but sometimes they don't use their names. But if you can find that account that's associated with this person and then go match it up, you can search it much easier. I'm telling you, we use it all the time. It's well worth the money that we spend doing it, and you just never know what you're going to find out. Sometimes most shocking things. We had a case not long ago where it was a civil case. I have an attorney here in the office that does some personal injury cases, and she was doing background on the guy. I'm like, what does the background search come up on? She says, I haven't been able to find anything. Ran the background search. Turned out the defendant, the guy we're suing, had a prior judgment against him in a fraud case. Boom. There you go. That little search turned the whole case around. And, we're just talking about, in that case, money, but it was our client being vindicated. And so it was worth it. And I'm telling you, whether you're checking out your neighbors, checking out that person you're getting involved with, I'm telling you, go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for that. I'm telling you. And it's funny, I see the numbers and they spike after the weekends because people go meet people, they go out. Oh, I'm interested in this guy. Ooh, I'm interested in this girl. Run the background check. Run it. I'm telling you, it's the best thing you can do. And if it comes back, there's nothing there, you have peace of mind. If it comes back, we've had people have business ventures not go through because they found stuff in somebody's past. It's all important. You should do that. Hey, Scott, if Chris Watts had new evidence or turned on someone else, would either change what you've said about the 35C? Pretty unlikely. Pretty unlikely. I mean, the man's confessed. I know we've talked about this, and some people love talking about, this guy named Chris. But the question is, I mean, what new evidence? He confessed. Remember what I said? When you plead guilty, you admit as a matter of law and as a matter of fact, you did it. And oh yeah, by the way, guess what? The court looks at it that way as well. And so, a 35C is based upon ineffective assistance of counsel. And you would have to show that it wasn't made available or couldn't have been found during the time that he was represented. But when you plead guilty, you give up all that stuff. You give up your right to trial. I don't know if the guy thought he was being, oh, look, I'm trying to repent for my sins. Let me do the right thing. That's what I want to do. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if he was my client, I would not have told him to plead guilty. Okay. I'm just telling you, that's the way I do business. You're charging my client with a crime that's going to send my client to prison for the rest of his life. I'm telling you, my strategy is I'm not pleading guilty. I'm advising my client not to plead guilty. But guess who controls that ultimate decision-making? The client. So even if I say don't do it, it's the client's choice. And that's why the judge engages in that colloquy with him. And that's why Chris Watts said, I did it. I'm pleading guilty. Bottom line. He's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to get a 35C. I just don't see it happening. This guy's not a victim. He admitted to killing his 2 children. And some people still want to argue about whether it's at the house or whether was it out at the oil battery tank site. The bottom line is, who cares? He did it. They don't have to prove where it took place, just that he did it. He confessed to it. He confessed to the investigators later on when he didn't have to talk with them again, but they went up to talk to him and he said, yeah, I'll talk to you. And he tells them that the story that he made up about Shanann Harding and the kids, he didn't even think of that. It popped into his head when they were questioning him. So what new evidence could it possibly be? His evil twin brother? That's right. He doesn't have one. His evil twin brother did it? No. Renee, what if he was threatened? Don't believe it. Threatened by whom? By who? Right? It doesn't matter. Because the court asks, are you pleading guilty? Knowing, freely, and voluntarily. Have any threats been made against you to get you to enter your plea of guilty? He said no. I have the transcript from his plea hearing. I ordered it during that time. I'll have to go find it. It's in a file that I have back in my office. But he didn't say anyone threatened him. So now he has to get through. Oh, he lied to the court. It's not happening. I'm telling you, criminal defense or criminal law needs finality. And it's just not going to happen. Well, thank you, Stephanie. It makes me look 20 years old, the blurriness. I appreciate that. I'll take it. Any advice on where to find out the legal issues dealing in adoption? I would contact an adoption attorney in the state in which you reside. Oh, Lord, child. Let's see here. What is the continuing obsession with the Watts case? He confessed. Why are people so eager to exonerate this parasite? I don't know. I think it's such a case where it's almost so unthinkable that so many people just need almost an explanation. And, there's some people that think, oh, Shanann was a mean wife. She was nagging. She was, okay, fine, whatever. Let's say she's the worst woman on earth. You divorce her. You don't kill her. Bottom line. And here's the other thing. even if some people say he didn't kill the children, he confessed to killing Shanann. Like, life without prison, life without parole. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think he's done. You know, if somebody wants to show me this new evidence, maybe I'll think about it, but I don't think it can happen. Jimmy Green, good question. Scott, can you do a show explaining on how to get a cop's body and dash cam? Yes, I can. But let me just tell you real quick there, Mr. Green, is that you can usually contact the police department if they do, in fact, have body cams and request a copy of it. You want to usually send in a request early so that they preserve it. So if you know the officer's name, the date, and the time in which it took place, you would want to request that as quickly as possible so that they can, in fact, preserve it. But usually you go through the police department, obviously, if they have police cams. These days now, police officers who's involved in a case, they have to download it, and they download it to a specific case. So that's always a good thing to do. But it's pretty simple as far as my experience has been with it. But you got to request it early. They can't save this stuff forever because there's just not enough hard drive somewhere for it. It would cost too much money. Let's see here. I've got another true new. Good to see you. Okay. True helper. Thank you. Appreciate everything you're doing. Yeah, John. I mean, John Creighton there. I mean, yes, he pled guilty, and don't get me wrong, Crime Talk was essentially got our boost from the Chris Watts case. I mean, that was our video that kind of made our whole thing go. I mean, for my own selfish purposes, it would have been great had that thing drug out for another 2 years. Right? I mean, let's just call it the way it is. That would have been great for Crime Talk. We would have had material to go. And can you imagine a trial? What a circus that would have been. But at the end of the day, he pled guilty. And he was his defense attorney. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I'm rooting for that. But bottom line is, he pled guilty. I don't know. Gianna Marie, Scott Peterson, I'm assuming you're referring to, is so guilty. Well, you know what, Gianna, he's obviously been found guilty, but the way things are going, it looks like he may be getting a new trial. He's certainly going to get a new sentencing hearing to see. Yes, Lauren McCall. Yes, very selfish, but I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. But I'm telling you, I mean, the case is done. It is over. Okay. Now it's just him trying to stay relevant in that realm. And I think there's a lot of people that are trying to, for their own, I don't know, purposes, trying to do it. I mean, maybe he has some redeeming qualities, right? I'd like to think as a defense attorney, everyone has redeeming qualities, and everyone, never wants to be in a situation where they're judged as to what kind of human they are based upon their worst moment in time. But that's kind of the reality. But in the legal world, I'm a realist, right? I mean, even if, let's say the Watts family walked in here, somebody walked in and plunked down a big old fat check and said, Scott, I'm hiring you to do the 35C. And I said, all right, well, okay. Sounds really expensive. And I want to tell you, you got probably a 3% chance of getting this case to hearing, let alone a new trial, where simply you start all over again. Doesn't mean like the charges go away. You just right back from square zero, ground zero. And I'd probably tell him, it's up to you. I'll earn your money, but don't get mad at me when I tell you there's nothing I can do. And it'll probably take years, because it's probably going to take me a good year to investigate, research, analyze, draft a motion if there's any legal issues that exist whatsoever. Try to find an expert that can back up my theory if I was able to come up with one, request a hearing, which will probably be denied. And then you have to appeal that denial, which will probably take another 2 years and a lot more money. And witnesses are going to continue to disappear, go away, memories fade. I would probably tell you, think about saving your money. As it relates to Nicole Kessinger and her name change, we showed up to court last week and the judge was there. I knew the judge. I didn't actually know that. I didn't put the name with the judge. I saw it, realized that she was in fact the judge. I knew her. She was a former public defender up in Jefferson County. Very nice. I asked about it. She said, "Ooh, I think that's why I thought you were here," which makes me believe that someone on Ms. Kessinger's defense or on her legal team filed a motion that matter be suppressed, which means no one can suppress, which means no one can gain access to it unless you are a party to the case. I got a real problem with cases being suppressed here in Colorado. I think a lot of people do. I think it's public information, public knowledge, and I'm not sure why she should get special treatment in any way whatsoever. And so I said, "Judge, well, what status did it get reset?" And she just kind of smiled at me, saying, "I can't tell you anything." And I said, "Okay, I'll just take it. It was reset." So, okay. And, so there we are. It's, just the type of situation where the truth is going to come out. I mean, I don't understand why everyone fights that kind of stuff. The truth is going to come out. People are going to find out what her name is. I just don't get it. She's not in some sort of witness protection program. She's not. She's not. So I just truly, I'm frustrated by that. And not that we're trying to do any type of doxing or anything to her. But hey, it's a free country. It's public information. You literally have to publish that you want to change your name and present it to the court so that people can have an opportunity to see, what's taking place, because you can't have people changing their name for some, suspicious reason. I mean, I'm not sure why she thinks she has an expectation of privacy. She thrust herself into being a public figure. Well, frankly, when she was involved with that guy named Chris, right? Chris Watts. Whether she likes the limelight or not, so be it. Guess what? She gave an interview to the news here in town. She didn't mind having that name being used when she was making that, trying to, say, "I'm so innocent. I had no idea what was going on." I get it. Some people love her, hate her. I'm indifferent to her. I don't know. I've invited her on the show. You want to set the record straight? I have said, I wrote a letter to her attorney. I'll be more than happy. I'll give you however long it takes. We'll go live. We'll record it. You tell me what you want to do. And, come tell us what happened, clear up the mistakes, anything that people think she did wrong. Let's talk about it. Tell me what the truth is. Why is everyone so offended? Why is everyone so scared of just finding out the truth? These days, it drives me nuts. No one will look at an allegation because of somebody's political party and they want one party to win, or they give credence to an allegation because of it's against another political party. It's so intellectually dishonest. It's disgusting. I hate the news, whatever you want to call it. I've been in court proceedings where literally you hear the story in the news, you wonder if they were at the same court appearance that I was at. One of the reasons why we started this channel, because the news people get it wrong so often. And they all think they want to run around, winning Pulitzer Prize, but they have neither the gumption, intelligence, or desire to go and get the truth about anything. And I don't know if that's because their bosses won't let them do it or what it is, but the reality of it is, I don't understand why people are afraid of the truth. Let the chips fall where they may. It just rubs me raw. And sometimes I get in trouble. I get scolded because it sounds like I'm cross-examining people in social settings because they want to play coy. It's like, oh, you want to play that game? I'll play coy. I'll ask you a couple of questions. I'll blurt that out. But I just don't understand why people are so concerned about the truth. Angelina, ATF, people are worried about being sued. You know what a defense to defamation is? The truth. That bottom line, the truth. I just don't get it. It's just intellectually dishonest. And I think it's even worse, particularly, like I said, in politics these days. Nobody looks at anything critically. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe I'm that curmudgeon old man who sits there, get off my lawn, kids, but when I went to college, I got a liberal arts degree, and my liberal arts degree was in political science. But they were always telling you to question authority, question the assumptions that are made in arguments, to become a rational thinker, think on your own. And, you may not come to the answers that you like all the time, but at least you found the truth. Like we take philosophy classes, logic, things like that. And no one these days wants the truth. Now you have colleges where if people say something, they go to safe zones. Are you kidding me? Like, come to the real world, ladies and gentlemen. There's no safe zones. You don't perform, you hurt your feelings are hurt. Guess what? You're fired. Get out. You need a safe zone. You better not become a lawyer. My gosh, I don't know. You are a defense attorney that promotes the truth. I agree. What's wrong with the truth? Let's find out. Simple. Win, lose, or draw, right? Let's find out what happened. Let's a quest for the truth. I don't know why it should be anything other than that. And, the problem with the world today is that, particularly like you see in politics, like, that dirty, rotten scoundrel, he's terrible. Yeah, but your dirty, rotten scoundrel is just as bad. Yeah, but he's my dirty, rotten scoundrel. And, I liked him first. And so that's the way it is. It's completely intellectually dishonest. And I think people, I don't know about you, but I some days I literally think I just need to go home, take a hot shower with a nice steel brush, get all it just drives me nuts. John, Kim. Anyway, totally with your logic and rational thoughts. Saying goes, most people can't handle the truth. Because it can get misunderstood. I don't know. If the truth is out there, the truth is the truth. Facts are facts. People can form opinions based upon facts, but the facts are what they are. But both people don't like that. All right. Look at that. Kells. Sounds like you need a vacation. Probably. Could use a little vacation, little getaway. All right. Now that I vented there a little bit, thank you, everyone. So let's see. How do you balance the truth when defending someone is guilty? Amy. Even if I know someone is guilty, and I mentioned this before, it's not, if somebody is what they believe is guilty and they are found not guilty, that is not the defense's fault. That is the prosecutor failing to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I have a job to defend my client. And if he wants to exercise his constitutional rights, then I have to do everything within my legal and ethical limits to do so. And I say legally and ethically. I cannot lie to the court. I cannot put on perjured testimony. I can't put on testimony where I think people are going to do something wrong. It just doesn't work that way. But you have a right, even if you're guilty, even if it's on video. And I've done those trials where it's on video and the guy's like, nope, not me. Okay, I think it's you. But if you want to try, I'll sit there. It's going to be a bloodbath. We're going to get our teeth kicked in. I want my day in court. I've even won some of those and I've lost them too. So yeah. So I don't know. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. I know I felt like I was a little grumpy. Maybe it's the fuzzy screen. I know that's not Frank's fault or mine. It's damn internet. We just got to figure out. It's the IT guy's fault. Blame it on IT. So we're going to do exactly what we talked about. We're going to take a quick break, go do our Patreon, whereupon if you are a Patreon member, we'll send you a link. You can log on, and we will also send you the secret phone number once we get on, and you can actually call. And if you want to talk, we can talk the whole night. We can talk about anything you want to do. It's some nights are really quiet. Other nights are really go, go, go. So yes, thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all over at our Patreon Tuesday night live. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.